Hello and welcome to all our viewers from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC here at Gold. And oh my goodness, I can't believe how excited I am. I have the wonderful and amazing Barbara Harper here with me today. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, Kristen. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
Oh, what an honor to have you here. And Barbara, I'm so excited to announce that you are hosting a webinar here celebrating the International Day of the Midwife next week, May 5th, here with us at Gold. How wonderful is that? I'm so excited for this.
I have also been excited, and I was really um, thinking deeply about how impactful International Day of the Midwife is, especially this year
Mhm.
after everyone's gone through the COVID experience, and we were forced to be virtual. And now that virtual is really working so that we can open up the whole world to us.
Mhm.
Um, and it excited me that I wanted to speak about a topic that was close to my heart, and that was rethinking the second stage of labor.
Yes, rethinking second stage of labor. Yes, and you are so right. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. I want to just step back because you said something that was really important. This year, since last year, it's been different for all of us. And I remember, and I don't know how you felt, but when I heard, I think it was in the 2019, that 2020 will be the year of the nurse and the midwife, I got so super excited and I thought, yes, this is great. And then, of course, COVID came and hit us all, right? So, tell me, Barbara, a little bit. First of all, I mean, many of us know you, of course, here, our listeners, but give us a little background here about your work. You're a water birth expert in the field, and tell us a little bit how does this last year look like for you and your experience here.
Well, I also was excited and posted many things about the year of the nurse and the midwife. And I think it should be the decade
The
of
decade.
the nurse and the midwife, because there was never such an important job as attending births in the unknowing and in the fearful attitudes of parents um, during COVID. And should I go to the hospital? Should I stay at home? Should I find a different type of practitioner? The midwives around the world have never been busier either. It's just everybody got nervous and they calmed themselves by having sex and, and having those staying at home. There were ads that said, "I'll see you in 9 months,"
Right.
by lots of
Lots of
midwives, and
midwives, yeah.
so I think there is an explosion happening as well. But for me, it was I in 2019. I traveled by airplane 177,000 air miles to 19 countries and
Wow.
giving water birth trainings and presentations. And um, like the whole month of June, I usually spend in Spain, and or beginning in May and carrying into June, and then from June I go on to Israel, and I'm there for a whole month, 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and I in 2019 I was in 6 hospitals in Israel. Then I go on to Cairo, and I'm in Cairo hospitals, and then I go on to Dubai, and I'm in
Mm.
Dubai hospitals, and um, beginning in February uh, 2020, I had reservations for airline tickets for China, Vietnam,
Oh,
Panama, Spain. I had all my tickets already purchased, and they all got canceled.
yeah.
And so I'm sitting here in my house saying, "Oh my God, how am I going to support myself?" But it was also, "Oh my God, how am I going to get this information out to people?"
Mhm.
So having virtual. I quickly became a Zoom expert.
Hmm.
And
Right.
I didn't even know what I was doing, Kristen, when I recorded the first sessions for my water birth, certification course that I've eventually put up online in an evergreen course.
Mhm.
I really didn't know what I was doing, but so far we've had a couple hundred doctors go through and midwives go through it. Um, and um, and just this morning, Kristen, I have a Tuesday morning session with 23 doctors and midwives in the Philippines every Tuesday morning.
Wow.
And they have assignments each week to go through pre-recorded sessions that I've done. And then we come together for 2 hours and discuss it and answer all their questions. We break up into work groups. And how could we have possibly done that without Zoom and
Right.
without Adobe Connect? And this is what I love
Right.
about International Day of the Midwife, because you have always used the most available and highest technology
Hmm.
to get the message across from hundreds of midwives around the world, and that is so beautiful.
Yes. I tell you, with the international sessions that we do, it's always brings such a smile to my face when I see all the different countries represented, midwives, birth workers, lactation professionals, nurses, anybody there passionate about the topic. And you see people from South Africa, from India, from, all over Africa, Europe,
Yes.
Canada, United States, and from all around the globe. And it's just so wonderful to be able to connect so closely, and the world is becoming so small, and it's wonderful to to exchange ideas and experiences with a midwife from India, or from
Yes.
it's just wonderful that we have this and can do this. um and you are this year part of this, which brings me so much joy. I have to go back to one thing, because Barbara and I were practically neighbors here in South Florida. It's not, well, don't live too far from each other, and I've seen you speak a few times too. And I do remember vividly something that, from one of the seminars you were teaching on water birth. You started, being an expert right back to the 80s, right? You have done water births, and also you built tubs, right? You built them at home. It's just like that must have been back then something very unusual, because I don't think people were very familiar with the concept, right?
No, the first tub I built, I measured the back of my Volvo station wagon so that it wouldn't be bigger than the back of the way back, so that I could transport it to births. And then women in Chicago and New York started asking for tubs, and that's when we created the gentle birth pool
Hmm.
and started manufacturing them in my facility, a warehouse. And oh my gosh, it was such a journey. But in 2009, I sold all of the parts and pieces to the manufacturing to Waterbirth Solutions
Hmm.
in Washington State, and they took over all the sales. So I didn't have to be a plumber anymore. I could just be a midwife and a water birth educator,
Mm.
and put all the hats for manufacturing and give that to other people as well.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And your evolution there too. Traveling. Starting out from building tubs in your backyard to traveling to over. I mean, all around the world. Holding seminars and classes and workshops. So that's just absolutely fantastic.
Well, I
Wonderful.
miss traveling, but this is the next best thing.
Yes, and I'm sure you'll be on the road, or in the airs, I rather should say, once this is all over. Have you seen anything coming back for you? Are they, is it
Um,
slowly
I
getting to the point?
I have reservations. I haven't purchased the tickets yet, but I have reservations for a hospital in Wisconsin. in Eau
Ooh.
Claire, Wisconsin for July, and the board has approved my coming out and training their physicians. They actually don't have any midwives at that hospital, and so I'm training the family practice doctors and the obstetricians and the pediatricians. And so I'm really excited to go back into American hospitals as well. And I've had requests just recently from a couple hospitals in Israel, Dubai, Egypt, Spain, of course. I go there every year. And the country that I miss the most is China,
Mm.
because we had an explosion of water birth in China. And so I can't wait to go back.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And it is so needed, that information. I'm so happy to hear that hospitals now are open, especially here in the United States, to also to, installing tubs or having water birth, water labor, instead of having the woman back on her back. And, oh, so this makes me happy that, yes, they don't have the midwives, but it shows me that also the obstetricians and physicians in the hospitals, they are now are willing to learn and are open to
Mhm.
the idea. And I believe also it's because women and families are demanding it. They don't want to have this kind of birth experience anymore. People have been becoming much more educated, right? They see on YouTube, they see all the beautiful water births, and they say, I want that too, and they demand it. And hospitals now see that they lose a lot of business to home birth, to birth centers, if they don't offer that. So I'm glad to see that some of the hospitals are now open to offering this kind of service as well there too.
Yeah, we've got over 100 hospitals in the US that are
Great.
still offering water birth, and
Yeah.
that's only out of 3,000. So, but
Hmm.
there's a long way to go, but we're making progress
Progress.
steadily and surely.
Yes, absolutely. And now to your presentation here, it this rethinking second stage, letting a baby out versus getting baby out. Oh my gosh, that is a wonderful topic. I'm so excited about this.
It's so near and dear to me, and I remember teaching a doula training in Taiwan. I wear many hats. It's not just water birth,
Water
and I
birth,
teach
right.
hypnosis and blissborn, and in that particular training, one of the nurses in our summary and review, we were standing in a circle, and I asked them to speak about it. I had about 65 nurses, and she said, before I came in here, I thought I knew what my job was, and that was to get the baby out as quickly as possible with as least mu less pain as possible. And now I understand it's about supporting the mother to let the baby out.
Mm,
And she put it so beautifully that I've incorporated that into all my teaching, even in water birth,
mm,
that second stage is about supporting the mother and the baby to unfold in their innate and neurologically dictated ways. And I'm so excited about this presentation because it's an aspect that applies wherever the baby's born, in
yes.
water, out of water, on the porcelain self-cleansing birthing stool called the toilet, you know. So I'm excited to share the information on the
Mm,
primitive reflexes and the neurological programming that babies have, and how mother goes through and assists the baby. The mother
mhm.
assists the baby. The
Yeah.
baby's the driver.
The
So
that's the fantastic point here, but for decades, I mean, since the modern days of obstetrics, it was always considered that the baby is the passive passenger, right? In this.
exactly.
And now we know so much more. It's so different. And when you told us the story right now about that nurse, she said, "Oh, now I get it." That must, as an educator, really warmed your heart. But it's really like a switch that flips, right? Oh, I get it now. This is different, and changes the entire view and how practitioners practice. It's absolutely fabulous.
I see the light bulbs go off all the
Yeah.
time, and I'm just thrilled. And that particular nurse broke the circle, ran across the room, hugged me, and both of us were weeping because
Ah.
she had just made this entire leap of understanding, and it changed everything, everything.
it changed everything. And this nurse, even if you are no longer in the country teaching it, she will get that knowledge to her colleagues, to her friends, to
Mhm.
everybody. And so it's like this wave, this ripple that goes, out into the
Yeah.
world, and make changes everywhere. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic, Barbara. I'm so glad to hear that.
So thanks for inviting me to participate in the International Day of the Midwife, and I can't wait to see everybody there.
Thank you so much, Barbara, to sitting down here and chatting with me about your work, your amazing work that you do out there in the world, not only here in the United States, but worldwide. And thank you for coming to Gold. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And for our viewers, if you would like to find out more about this International Day of the Midwife that we're celebrating here at Gold with this free presentation by Barbara Harper, and you want to find out more and about what time it is in your time zone, please visit goldlearning.com. There you'll find all the information you need about the Day of the Midwife and how you can sign on as well. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and thank you, Barbara, for being here with me today. Bye bye, everyone.